A while back, I was taking a tremendous slumber in order to cure my sickness, and in that slumber I took a steam shower and had a revelation in my dreams. Ah yes, that revelation was about two overpowered Yakuza characters that I can't wait to cover today. Two characters that are unique and providing incredible insight and lore into the city of Kamuro, while at the same time not being actual ex-Yakuza themselves. Instead, they're two dudes who saw the potential of this iconic concrete jungle and saw fit to start their own businesses here. One is a loan shark residing in his little tower on Tenkaichi Street, and the other is an information dealer underneath northern Kamuro. But first... Ah, man. Oh, look what being the only American Yakuza YouTuber the past 2 years has done to me. It's not easy. But, as usual with my videos, sit back, relax, and grab your favorite tobacco product, and let's get into this video about the lifeline of Kamuro and the Florist of Sai. Enjoy.
よう来ると思ってたぜ真島五郎久しぶりだな桐生
I'm talking about none other than Shun Akiyama, the CEO money kicking man of Sky Finance and coveted nicotine lover. On the flip side, we got the Florist of Sai, aka Kage, the legendary stogie-smoking emperor of purgatory, who loves to send flowers alongside his secret info. Two characters who quite honestly seem to either disappear from Kamuro or have replacement characters during the events of Yakuza 7. For this video, I just want to look back on Akiyama and the Florist as two guys who highlight how insane and wonderful Kamuro can be. For instance, one open world aspect I love about the original Yakuza, especially on the PS2, is how all the homeless people you walk past actually turn out to have been working for a character you haven't met yet. That being the Florist of Sai, as the homeless from Purgatory and West Park all the way to Theater Square and more are part of his information network. Now sure, the Florist has access to every camera on Kamuro like it's 1984, but it's the homeless that serve his transactions and dealings. It's such a cool, subtle detail in the first couple chapters that makes the world feel so alive. And it makes me wonder if Akiyama was part of this information network at some point. Maybe, maybe not, but seeing as he was present during the events of the original game, hey, he could have been. Sure, Akiyama was something only revealed in later games, but considering Akiyama still hangs out with his homeless pals, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he even went as far to save a couple of them during that long battle, huh? Another cool similarity between the Florist and the Money Man is how they require their customers to give them something in return before providing their respective services. Their methods may be questionable, like some of Akiyama's deal demands in the sub-stories, or the Florist wanting big sweaty guys like Kiryu and Saejima to fight in front of him in 4K, but you get the idea. They're part of Kamuro's identity if you look hard enough. One aspect of the Florist's character that I love in the original Yakuza, and two, is how he builds Kiryu's role as a father alongside Date. And as a side note, Date and the Florist worked together in the police force around the same time when they were younger. That first game has two story beats where it takes a break from the 10 billion yen plot, and Kiryu helps these guys with their fatherhood issues. For Date, it was with his daughter Saya, and with the Florist, his son Takashi, the guy in the camo hoodie. Interestingly though, the Florist only watches his son from afar because, well, Father of the Year award, his son has no idea he's his father. It makes you wonder if that's part of the reason he took up this surveillance business, huh? Nonetheless, we know how the story goes, and Kiryu hopes Takashi escape the Yakuza alongside Takeshi's girlfriend Kyoka, where it turns out her father was the patriarch, and there's a quick scene later on in the story where that patriarch of the girl, Atobe, shares a moment about fatherhood with the florist himself. So you got these two old guys, the florist and old man Atobe, kinda having a bro moment, so to speak. And later on in the series, Takeshi and Kyoka would return in Yakuza 2 and 4. From my knowledge and remembering. With this part of the original story in mind, I like how it not only shows a different side to the florist himself, but it helps cement Kiryu's future as Haruka's father in retrospect. It's the little things like that that made the original Yakuza a classic. The florist himself may be overpowered because of his insane surveillance network that can solve almost any, hey, where's Jane Doe and John Doe characters, I need to find them, situations in the plot, but I do think wanted to do a nice job making him an interesting part of the series, especially since Yakuza 2 gave him that upgrade to the Millennium Tower's 50th floor. And hey, even a spot back on the police force. I mean, look at the floors, he's got his stogie still, and he has a new uniform to boot. Although it does make you wonder if having his network in the Millennium Tower is borderline too much power for the police, but what do I know, we saw how that went in the plot. Lots of explosions and rats. I also appreciate the Majima Saga for giving us another interaction between the Mad Dog and the florist. It helps set up what we see later on in Yakuza 2. It may not be much, but its inclusion I like a lot. Especially since the decision of giving Majima all of Purgatory carries over on the Yakuza 3. Now when it comes to something I don't like, and this is about other material, that would have to be how the Amazon Prime show portrayed the florist of Sai. Now the parts in the past where they show him giving out flowers alongside his intel is neat, even if his character is a little off in that past part, but just everything about him feels like a misfire. They made the florist a fat guy that just watches TV all day and literally eats cheeseburgers, and he's just a lot goofier than his game counterpart. The showrunners did the same thing that Transformers and Ninja Turtles have done with Wheeljack and Donnie in recent years, and by that I mean giving them glasses and nerd traits since, well, they're the smart ones. And here the showrunners saw the florist was a fat guy in his designs, so they went with low-hanging fruit, made him a guy watching TV eating cheeseburgers. In the show, the florist even says he's gonna make Kiryu fight in the Coliseum, but nothing comes from that, nothing. In the show where Kiryu's a damn Coliseum fighter for most of his fights too, and they don't even do anything with that with the florist. So many dumb mistakes. And you know what else is a misfire about that show? Don't worry, this is gonna tie into my next thing. It's how Yumi ends up handing the 10 billion yen herself back to the Yakuza. Yumi ends up handing the 10 billion yen herself back to the Yakuza. And that's such a bizarre decision since it means the Yakuza won. They got their money back, the Omi and Tojo. Whereas in the game, they lose the 10 billion yen. The Tojo loses their 10 billion yen to a fiery explosion as the money is given back to the people of Kamurocho. I just think it's much more poetic for the people that have been suffering from the Yakuza. They're the ones who got the money from them. Because you know who benefited from that fate in the video games? Sean Akiyama. A guy given his life back thanks to Yumi and Nishiki, and then propelled upwards thanks to Arai's guidance. This Akiyama guy may be charisma incarnate. Just listen to the way he enjoys alcohol.
ボーイって感じじゃねえな。わあ、うめえ。
This is my 100th video overall on the channel, and I'm so happy I get to talk about Akiyama. So Akiyama is also played by Koichi Yamadera, who you may know as the watermelon guy from Evangelion, or Shin Zafi from Shin Ultraman. That's for my Ultraman fans. He's everywhere. Now I consider Akiyama overpowered due to Sky Finance. I've never seen anything quite like in fiction. He'll give you any sum of money as long as you complete a task he sees fit for your demands. Sky Finance is the cornerstone of Yakuza 4's plot, and this power of Akiyama's does reappear in 5 when talking about how Park got her money. And also, what the hell happened to Sky Finance Sotenbori? I couldn't find it when exploring in 7 or Gaiden. But if you think about it, the Tojo clan or Ome alliance could honestly come to Akiyama and either be polite and work towards the money, or, do it the Yakuza way and take it by force. He's also in charge of Club Elise as another source of income, that minigame they brought back from 3, and they built on it a little bit, but it's still the proto stages of the cabaret minigame that we'd later really love in games like 0 and Kiwami 2. But anyway, Club Elise is how he helps Yasuko earn her 100 million yen, and it's also how we see another side to Akiyama. He went from being a banker to homeless before ballooning up to being wealthy again to what I assume is a greater wealth than he ever had before. It's clear he has still somewhat of a broken heart from his ex during his banking days, who also happens to look a lot like Yasuko. Even in the same scene where we see a picture of his ex, we're also introduced to Yasuko. So Akiyama falls for her, and we see how lonely the two are during the scene of their kiss on the rooftop. It's a bit noir, I'd say. It's a fantastic scene that shows both of their wants and feelings, while also incorporating the larger plot of money that ties into their characters as well. Akiyama's life has been controlled by money, whether that means being stable or never having enough. He even jokes with Yasuko that the reason his ex left him was because he didn't have enough money. The way Yakuza 4 is truly Akiyama's game as much as it is Saijima's and Tanemura's blows me away. It just shows how much they fully developed these new characters. And upon a recent playthrough a few months ago, there were a lot more moments this time around that made more sense to me. And this rooftop scene between Yasuko and Akiyama was one of them. That's why I'm happy to talk about that scene today. And to build from this, the kicking money man is so powerful that his entire savings from Sky Finance is able to draw out all 4 antagonists of the game. It creates a great setting for the final battle, when 4 Faith is playing in 4 different remixes. So it creates a great final battle setting, while in a way is Akiyama's way of giving back to the people of Kamurocho, much like how Kamurocho saved him in 2005. Hell, a fat stack of cash even blocks Munakata's bullet in the finale, saving Akiyama. Yakuza 4 is the money game as much as Yakuza 0 is. So Akiyama's well of wealth, or infinite wealth if you will, makes his standing in Kamurocho's underworld pretty damn powerful. I mean, he's got his office located above a bar full of a vault of cash. However, much like the florist of Sai and his all-seeing eyes, it turns to a crutch in the sequels. Sure, in their debout appearances, these means of changing things or finding answers are awesome additions at first, but as the series goes on with more sequels, it makes you wonder where to put them without dismantling the core aspects of them, at least in my eyes. But I think that also means there's a lot of potential to explore these guys further, and much more in the case of Akiyama. We love the guy, and there's a lot more to him than just money, as we see in the very games he appears in, but I do think Akiyama deserves a Gaiden after Majima. With the way Akiyama was portrayed in 8, and he says he's been on the run due to the Kamurocho 3K plan of Aoki's messing with his business in 7, I think the missing years between 6 and 8 would be a perfect time to explore Akiyama. It makes sense as Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii is most likely going to wrap up Majima's story and his first prominent role since Zero, which is insane considering Zero and Pirates released 10 years apart. Hot damn, it took us 10 years to get another Majima-focused game. Now, Akiyama's interaction with Kiryu and Date in 8 is bittersweet, but still shows how much Kiryu means to Akiyama, and the fact that the lifeline of Kamurocho wanted to reunite Kiryu with Haruka and Haruto shows how much of a bro he really is, and I genuinely think he's next in line to receive a spin-off. After all, Akiyama's been in the prominent spin-offs of Dead Souls and Ishin, as was Majima, only a matter of time. And don't you worry about Yamadera being too busy or expensive to reprise his role. If RGG got him back for a small role in Infinite Wealth, then I'm sure Akiyama is a passion role that Yamadera can come back to when he wants. And if they call him for a full-on Gaiden game, then you betcha he'll be there. But moving on from the spin-offs, I do think Akiyama was given the short end of the stick in the mainline series after 4, and that's coming from a guy who has 5 as one of his personal favorites. And I do think Akiyama was mostly thrown in the 5 since he was a fan favorite, and it's hard just to abandon him. Like, he was there to make sure, gameplay-wise, Haruka's part didn't draw people away, since it was just idle dancing, but with Akiyama you can still have that classic combat. And yeah, he had to fight the strange monster that is Kanai like 5 times, but it is poetic that Akiyama's final playable level was in Theater Square. That was also the setting for his tutorial in 4, so I dig that. And who can forget all the Yakuza bowing down to him, even Watase? Now, for one little qualm, I do wish we got to have Akiyama fight Katsuya for a bit. If that happened, then I would be 1000% satisfied with his role in 5. Then we get to 6, where the question of Akiyama and the Florist of Sai being overpowered come into play. This is the one where the Florist would make the most sense to appear, and yet he gets no mention from what I can remember. And I guess Purgatory by this point is a full-on ghost town and mystery like the current state of Kamuro Hills. Yeah, we get Akiyama here in 6 and he's back to being homeless, a reset I'm not too keen on since it's like Saejima going back to prison 2 more times after 4. I get the reasoning of the Triad after him, but it feels weird after such a grand finale moment that Akiyama got in 5. A lot of characters from 5 end up in a similar manner in the beginning of 6, but I suppose 6 is just that cold splash of water after waking up from the dream that was 5. And yeah, 6 is another game I love. I'm just saying that 6 reminds me of 3 when it comes to being a sequel set moments after the previous game that kind of changes the status quo already. Nonetheless, even before we got Judgment, 2016 showed a change in Kamurocho. It's the era where the dragon and Dojima no longer roam the streets of Kamurocho alongside his buddies. During the events of the Song of Life, this was the end for the dragon at this time. And this calls me back to Akiyama's speech to Kido in 4, where he talks about Kamurocho being the city of dreams, and that this concrete jungle needs its king.
カムロ町ってのは弱いやつから強いやつまでいろんな連中が集まってくる。いわば一つの群れみてえな場所だ。だが集まってくるやつらには一つだけ共通してることがある。
何ですか？
夢だよ。カムロ町に飛び込んだ人間は皆必ず夢を見てる。
夢。
いい女を抱きたい、金持ちになりたい、えばりたい。どんなちんけなもんであってもここに集まる連中には皆それぞれの夢がある。だがその夢を叶えられるやつはごくわずかだ。そして人は夢を諦めない。生きてくのに必要なもんだからさ。わかるか？
はい。
皆夢を見続けていたい。だからこそこの町では 人に夢を見せられる人間が求められているんだ。
それが新井の兄貴だと。
ああ、良くも悪くも人間ってのは強さに憧れる。新井さんにはその絶対的な強さがある。俺はそう思ってんだ。ボスがいない猿山は機能しない。この町は今強いボス猿が必要なんだ。カムロ町って町は今までずっとそのボス猿を極道に求めてきた。だが桐生一馬というカリスマが去った今、ボス猿となれる人間はいない。機能しなくなった町から猿は去っていってしまう。強いボス猿を求めてな。
なんか深い話っすね。
まあちょっと回りくどい言い方だったが、要はそれくらい俺は新井さんにかけているってことだ。
わかりました。
I think this speech helps highlight Akiyama as a character. He's got aspirations by legends in front of him. He's the people of Kamuro that Kiryu saved in some indirect way. And when it comes to Arai, the guy who helped Akiyama get back on his feet, it turns out guys like Arai may not be as noble as we think, and sometimes you have to face the ones who helped you head on. If Arai was the corrupted rising star of potential, dragged down by his own ambitions, then Akiyama had to rise himself to become the true legend and put Arai back in his place, with a good old kicking fight. Then there's Kanai, who was the embodiment of the bully Yakuza picking on the little guys, and little did Kanai know that he was invading the concrete jungle that belonged to Akiyama. Much like how I mentioned earlier that the beauty of Yakuza 1's ending was the Tojo and Omi losing their money to the everyday citizens, then the beauty of Yakuza 5's ending was Akiyama earning the respect and admiration of the Yakuza, whereas this time they're bowing down to a simple civilian who did what they couldn't. In conclusion, guys like Kiryu and Akiyama may leave Kamurocho, and guys like the Florist of Sai may be relics of an older era, but their legacy lives on. Kiryu has Ichiban carrying the mantle. Akiyama paved the way for guys like Nick Okada to fill his role when he's gone. The Florist of Sai's archetype as a secret information broker is still realized, with Sunhee and Seven and Akame and the man who erased his name. And the best part, the original characters can still return. Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii is a great example to look forward to. I'm sure any future spin-off will bring back random characters we haven't seen in a while. And whenever Akiyama or the Florist of Sai return, I'm sure they'll be smoking their lungs out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Tiger Trot Films. Be sure to like and subscribe and share my whole playlist of Yakuza video essays around. You can enjoy them with your friends, or you can enjoy them when you need something to watch. The world is your oyster. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next one. Tiger Trot Films, out.